Good morning, y'all. I want to talk to you. Well, I say good morning. It's good morning here. If you hear a rooster crowing, that is proof that it is literally morning. I want to talk to you a little bit about this morning, about leaving. There he is. About leaving a legacy and what a legacy is, how we leave it. We live in a world right now where we live for the moment. Everything's a moment. It's a snapshot in time. Snapchat's about 10 seconds. You've got Instagram. It's all moments. We want to live for it. But the way we live our moments now dictate how moments will live and what's going to go on in our future lives, the generations after us, for years to come. It's got a huge impact on the decisions you make today are going to impact tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, and your family for many more generations. One such example of that is King Asa, who we've been studying. Whenever he passed away, his son Jehoshaphat had to step up. He was the next man up, which is one sign of a great legacy. Whenever it doesn't matter what happens to your leader, the next guy up has to step in and take over. That's what Jehoshaphat did because of the example that his father had set before him, because of how he had tried to get rid of pagan idols and worshipers and things like that. He wanted the people to turn and make their focus to God. I'm getting attacked by a bee now. He's not going to have a long legacy if he stings me. But Jehoshaphat followed his father's example and sought to pursue the same things that he did. We pick up our story in 2 Chronicles chapter 17, where Asa has just passed away. Jehoshaphat becomes king. It's up to him now to rule and lead these people. He comes in, and let me grab the verses here. He comes in and it says, his son Jehoshaphat became king in his place and strengthened himself against Israel. He stationed troops in every fortified city of Judah and set garrisons in the land of Judah and the cities of Ephraim. And his father Asa had captured. Now the Lord was with Jehoshaphat because he walked in the former ways of his father David. He did not seek the Baals, but sought the God of his father and walked by his commands, not according to the practices of Israel. So the Lord established the kingdom in his hand. Then all Judah brought him tribute, and he had riches and honor and abundance. His mind rejoiced in the Lord's ways, and he again removed the high places and Asherah poles from Judah. When Jehoshaphat became king, he followed his father in two examples. First of all, he started about physical protection. He fortified the cities. He strengthened their infrastructure, their borders, their walls, the towns that they had there, so that they would be safe from the bad guys who were around them. Secondly, he sought spiritual protection. He knew that no matter what you did physically, ultimately you had to protect your heart, your inside, your focus on what was going to make your difference there. Like many of us, they had a tendency to drift towards things that were not of God. They drifted towards worshiping Baal. They drifted towards these Asherah poles and things like that. How often do we drift away from what we need to be doing? Do we lose focus at work and start surfing the internet or gossiping? Do we lose focus in our relationships with our wife and start hanging out with buddies or getting too focused on the kids even? And how often in our own spiritual walk do we lose focus on the one thing that we need to be focused on the most of all, which is God, and start studying other things? We get distracted by success. We get distracted by other things in life that may be noble pursuits, but not the most noble. So he wanted them to keep spiritually focused on God as well. And there were several different tips that the book gave on how to be focused and how to get more dialed in on God. And the first one was, before you get out of bed in the morning, ask God to direct your thoughts throughout the day. Now, I don't know how y'all wake up in the morning, but when my alarm clock goes off, it is like someone, I think I just saw something in the woods. But it's like somebody just set off a bullhorn. Attention, attention. This is not a drill. I mean, I freak out. I jump at night. Could just be the time of day that I wake up. But when I get out, I stop and I pray and read my devotion before I leave the house each morning. But before I get out of bed, I come flying out of bed. And it may just be wanting to cut my alarm clock off before my wife wakes up and kills me. But you can also trust and rely on Christ. Praying constantly, like 1 Thessalonians tells us to do. Just keep focused on him and pursuing his ways. Keep in mind the examples that people before us have set. And most of us have someone in our life who we tend to follow, who we tend to lead towards, who we tend to model our lives out there, whether we do it intentionally or not. You're going to start acting like that guy at work or the lady at the office or something, and you're going to be more like your parents often than we intend to be. And then one that they had been focusing on too was removing all the things that distract us. If there's something that's making you lose your focus on what you need to be doing, get it out of your life. It's got no place there. You have got to eliminate it. Anything that's not working for your good, get it gone. Jehoshaphat then turned his attention to strengthening the region again, to strengthening their borders. And once he did that, he wanted to focus on strengthening the people. He had to get that physical protection first, then he started focusing on the people from within, because that's how most nations fall. You get destroyed from within. So he sent some of his officials, and it said here he sent his officials, and I'm not good with these Bible names. I can do Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, but Ben-Halil, Sheremoth, Jonathan, Adonijah, Zebediah, I'm not real good with all those. So he sent his officials and then several Levites. They were gone. The officials were going to teach them like a cabinet type position, teaching them civil classes, how to handle policies and procedures, how to handle that sort of thing, to teach them how to get along with other people. The Levites were priests and those kin to the priests who were going to teach them spiritual matters, how to worship God, how to live in righteousness, how to live in goodness, things that really mattered in life. The purpose of this refresher course that Jehoshaphat was offering was to help strengthen unity in the nation, because he knew that a unified nation was a stronger nation. Unity brings strength, and sometimes explaining to people your why helps to support that unity. You may not understand why, your kids won't understand why when you tell them you can't go to Carowinds today or to a park today, but it may be the weather, it may be the money, it may be the time that you have other things going on. But if you tell them why, if it's a toddler, they still won't understand, but at least maybe as they get older, they'll start to comprehend it. Maybe it's something at work that you know, why did we do that? That doesn't make any sense. But if you realize that it wasn't a choice, it was regulation, it was a requirement, it was something that we just had to do for this reason, now your why starts to bring it all together. And it can support unity, and unity is helpful for us as individuals. It said a lot of stuff that we learn in school helps us fulfill our roles as productive members of society, but what we learn from God's Word goes beyond that. God's Word gives us a why. Your faith, your core, your belief in something is what gives you that why. Your why is what keeps you going when the what, the how, the when, and all that sucks. Focus on your why. It goes on, and still in 2 Chronicles 17, verse 10, it says, the terror of the Lord was on all the kingdoms of the land that surrounded Judah, so they did not fight against Jehoshaphat. Some of the Philistines even brought in 7,700 rams and 7,700 male goats. They were bringing all these things. It was obvious to all the kingdoms that surrounded you that God was at work there. They knew, okay, there's something special going on here. Sometimes when you can tell there's something special about a place, there's no hiding it or denying it. You can just see it. You can feel it. And the way they expressed that was in two different ways. First was terror. You know, they realized they were afraid, not necessarily of Judah, but who Judah served. You know, that's one advantage that Christians have. We've got a God who's capable of so many things on our side. You don't want people to live in fear of you, but you want them to realize that the person you serve can do so much for them. Second was by paying tribute. It's almost a reverse of mob extortion here. You know, when businesses back in the day needed to do business, they had to pay the mob off and do that sort of thing. This was their way of not letting it get to that point, saying, hey, here you go, guys. We're going to send y'all a little money. Please don't come attack us. Don't hurt us. Don't, let us just go about our business for right now. We don't want to mess with you. We're proud of what y'all are doing. We kind of want to be a part of it. Just, don't destroy us. So they did it by paying tribute to them. And a lot of us, when we start thinking about legacy, or if we're a leader, or if we're a person of influence, we start to think, no, I'm really not there yet. I don't feel like I have influence over anybody right now but my kids. Occasionally my wife, but she doesn't listen to me too much. But John Maxwell wrote, leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. Your influence has the ability to literally help change someone's future. A lot of us have no idea who's looking up to us. If you're a young person with smaller kids around you, they're watching you. They're watching your every move, doing what you're doing. They watch the sports you play, the teams you pull for, the things that you say, how you act. If you're getting a little bit older, there's still that generation that's watching you. And as a young person, younger than me now, I'm getting old, but folks older than you are watching you, what you do. They're watching how you're present in church, how you're serving in your community. They get so excited when somebody young doesn't do something stupid, when you don't fit the typical millennial or Gen Y profile, when you can be just that good-hearted person. Sometimes that's even of greater influence because you haven't done or said anything that merited it. All right, so how can you let God use your impact to influence other people? You can ask for opportunities. Each day, ask God, Lord, how can I share you today? How can I be a positive example today? Show me, what can I do? And sometimes we think, well, that means I'm going to have to witness. That means I'm going to have to tell a Bible story. No, not necessarily. It may be something as simple as somebody sees you be kind to a homeless person or to a person in need for no reason. You're just polite. You're kind. You're generous to them. Or it might even be you just not going off on the idiot who cut you off in traffic. Or the person who stole your glory at work. By not having the negative attitude and cussing them out like they deserve. That's the world part. But by giving them grace instead, maybe that's what has the impact. And then lastly, you can say thank you to somebody. Say thank you to the people who have influenced you, whether it's your parents, your friends, aunts, uncles, somebody else in your church, somebody in work, whoever's helping mentor you and helping you to grow. Tell them thank you for what they've done. Sometimes even people of influence need a little encouragement. They're struggling, they're fighting, they're battling something. So your encouraging words would do that. The lives that we live, we're building our legacy one brick at a time, one day at a time, one moment at a time. Your legacy for the next 50 years is going to be impacted by the choices that you make now. Make them, pursue them, and make good ones. But let's do all of this while we pursue it with a godly pursuit in mind.